Good day, everyone. My name is Ileana Ramsey, and my group is Gender and Behavior, which consists of Cornelia Solandi, Katie Vialva, and Michaelia Cunningham. So firstly, what is gender? Gender for many centuries has always been a nuanced topic of popular debates, even in the current day. However, the general understanding of this complex topic, according to psychology applied to modern life, the book referenced throughout this discussion, defines it as a state of being male or female. But what does this entail? This entails many differences, either preconceived or fact-based ones. So these may include cognitive and social differences, stereotypes, biological or environmental, gender roles, and how gender has changed and progressed throughout history. So what are some popular differences and similarities in gender? Because it has been a topic of discussion in many spaces, from kindergarten to even the workplace. Many individuals, including myself, have biased or ignorant preconceived notions of these. But where do these notions come from? Generally, these preconceived notions come from culture, region, or tradition. A popular difference or stereotype that many people know is that men may be stronger than women, or they have higher IQs than women. And while in certain circumstances this can be true, it cannot be generalized, and sometimes it cannot even be based in fact. So, is there really a difference when it comes to the genders? While some may disagree, it has been proven that there are no gender differences in overall intelligence. The book reference states that there has been no difference when it comes to IQ. Another popular debate is aggression among the genders, and this is another one that stood out to me. The passage states that aggression among the genders varies based on the form it takes. It states that while men take on more physical aggression and make up larger amounts of violent crime, women tend to commit more relational aggression, such as silent treatment, alienation, and spreading rumors. However, the gap in this statistic was proven to also be small. And lastly, communication, in which the passage states is generally a complex topic and is said to break the common stereotype of women speaking more than men. It is said that men interrupt women more than the inverse. However, it claims that women that have more power than men in work or personal relationships tend to interrupt men more. It also states that women are more skilled at nonverbal communication and speak more tentatively. So now it's time to discuss how this has impacted me, my thoughts, preconceived notions, and what I'm going to change. So my first point was on overall intelligence and how it was found out that there are no gender differences. And while the passage in the book claims that this should not be surprising, this actually stood out a lot to me. Myself and many others grew up hearing the discourse of boys being smarter than girls or vice versa. And while this can be chalked up to children just bantering, it has become a strong talking point for many individuals, even in adult age. Though now I'm hearing the inverse of this, with many women saying that women are smarter, which I personally would faster believe, there are still many individuals, even men, especially online, saying that women are not smart and that men are smarter. However, all the arguments seem to be wrong in the end, as intelligence is not based on gender, it's based on the individual, which is something that I will have to change in my preconceived notions, as sometimes I do think that men are less intelligent, sometimes based on their actions or the way they talk. The passage on aggression really stood out to me, and I felt like I had to speak about it. And even though it was interesting, it also was not surprising. I say this because growing up, the same relational aggressions happened towards me by other girls in my class. From being ignored for no reason to rumors being made up and mean things being said behind my back, I experienced it, but never physical aggression from another girl. However, even in primary school, physical aggression such as fights and verbal confrontation was seen among boys. What was surprising was that the gender gap was not as different in the end in regards to relational aggression. While I did not believe that men were the best communicators, I did not think they were talking behind each other's back or giving each other silent treatment to a similar extent as women. Relational aggression is something that I have done myself, and in doing research on what it is and learning how it impacts other people, I intend to never do it again because it really affects relationships badly. And I would stop assuming that men solely commit aggressive acts while both genders do, and stop assuming that women only commit relational aggressive acts. And finally, communication. While I was initially reading this, I immediately saw my preconceived notions showing up because as soon as I saw men interrupt women more, I jumped up and I was like, I know this, I could have said that. However, I realized that even women interrupt men more when they have power, which is something that I had to acknowledge that I do. Besides this, when it comes to communicating for arguments or discussing a situation, I tend to speak more tentatively instead of speaking in definites that I have noticed that men do. For example, in discussion or arguments, I may start with I think or I may, while men just say I know or this always. In the future, when I have more power in a situation, I will try not to interrupt, or I just won't assume that men are being more aggressive in their conversation because that may just be how they talk.
Thank you, Ileana. Gender stereotypes are widely held and often inaccurate beliefs about males' and females' abilities, personality traits, and social behavior. These can bias your perceptions and expectations of and interactions with others. Stereotypes for men generally reflect the attribute of instrumentality, which is an approach associated with action and accomplishment, whereas attributes for women reflect the quality of expressiveness and orientation associated with emotion and relationships. There are three distinct things to know about stereotypes. 1. Variability and differences in stereotypes. There is variability within stereotypes. While they exist for genders, these are not universally applicable, and people can deviate from these stereotypical traits. 2. Fluidity. Traditionally, these stereotypes were witnessed as separate and distinct categories, for example, men were strong and women were weak. However, recent perspectives show these attributes as existing on a spectrum rather than as rigid opposites. And 3. Stereotypes favor masculinity. Customarily, the male stereotype is viewed more positively than the female stereotype, and this is called androcentrism. The masculinity is seen as the norm. This bias shows up in how we describe similar behaviors. For example, a man might be good with details, whereas a woman picky for the same behavior, and a man might be exercising his authority, but a woman controlling for the same action. What stood out to me from this chapter was that male stereotypes revolve around instrumentality, which refers to action and accomplishment rather than emotion. So when a man seems very cut and dry, very blunt and straight to the point, that is who he may be, and he's not being off-putting or disregarding emotions or feelings. He is just perpetrating that stereotype, and it's not something to take personal.
Hi everyone. So we'll now take a look at the captivating realm of gender differences through the lens of biology. As we delve into this intricate topic, we confront the age-old debate of nature versus nurture. We'll unravel the mysteries surrounding gender disparities, exploring the profound influence of biology alongside social and environmental factors. Brace yourselves for a thought-provoking exploration of evolutionary explanations, brain organizations, and hormonal influences on gender differences. Let's take a further look into the evolutionary explanations. Imagine a world where our behaviors are shaped by the forces of evolution, where every action serves the ultimate goal of reproductive success. This is the realm of evolutionary psychology, where gender differences are not mere happenstance, but the product of millennia of natural selection pressures. From personality traits to sexual behavior, evolutionary psychologists argue that gender disparities are deeply ingrained in our biological makeup. However, amidst the awe-inspiring insights lie controversies and challenges, reminding us of the complexities of human behavior and the limits of empirical inquiry. Behold the intricate workings of the human brain, a marvel of evolution sculpted by millennia of adaptation. Within its convoluted folds lie the secrets of gender differences in brain organization. As we peer into the cerebral hemispheres, we uncover subtle variations in specialization between males and females. Yet, amidst the awe-inspiring discoveries, we must tread carefully, for the influence of socialization casts a shadow over our understanding. Let us navigate this cerebral landscape with humility and curiosity, embracing the mysteries that lie within. According to psychology applied to modern life, studies have shown that the brain's cerebral hemispheres are somewhat specialized in the kinds of cognitive tasks that they handle, and that such specialization is more pronounced in males than in females. Whether this difference bears any relation to gender differences in behavior is yet to be determined. Venture with me into the realm of hormones, the chemical messengers that orchestrate the symphony of life. From prenatal development to postnatal behavior, hormones wield a profound influence on gender differences. Picture the dance of testosterone and estrogen shaping not only our bodies but also our behaviors, from childhood toy preferences to adult sexual desire and aggression. Yet, amidst the dazzling spectacle, we must acknowledge the limitations of our understanding, grappling with the complexities of correlational data and the myriad factors that shape human behavior. Let's not forget that hormones play a crucial role in the prenatal development, influencing the differentiation of gender-specific traits. Research on endocrine disorders reveals associations between prenatal hormone levels and sex-typical behavior in children. Postnatally, testosterone is linked to sexual desire and aggression through social factors may also influence this behavior. Despite biological influences, research suggests that socialization plays a more significant role in shaping gender differences. Limitations include inconsistent findings in brain organization studies and challenges in isolating hormonal effects from social factors. Overall, while biological factors contribute, efforts to link gender differences to socialization have been more successful. The nature versus nurture debate in gender differences is complex and multifaceted. Understanding the interplay between biology and socialization is crucial for comprehensively addressing gender disparities. Now, moving on to the environmental origins of gender differences, we explore and unravel the intricate processes of socialization and the profound impact they have on shaping our perceptions and behaviors. So join me as we navigate through the societal norms and cultural expectations that mold our understanding of gender roles. While we also dig into all the nitty-gritty of it, we will also see that there are similarities and differences between the environmental and the biological differences. Here we take a look at the processes in gender role socialization and the sources in gender role socialization. Under the processes, we will take a look at the reinforcement and punishment, observational learning, and self-socialization. In sources, we'll be looking at the parents, peers, schools, and the media. Let's take a closer look at a study examining the impact of gender socialized play on career perceptions in young girls. The findings suggest that childhood play influenced by gender stereotypes can shape children's expectations about their future career possibilities. This highlights the importance of understanding early socialization in influencing. of toys on career aspirations. Girls who played with Barbie dolls reported fewer job possibilities for themselves compared to those who played with Mrs. Potato Head. This again highlights the subtle yet significant influence of childhood play on shaping future career perceptions. As we reflect on these findings, let's consider some critical thinking questions. Did our own experiences with gender stereotypical toys influence our academic choices? And what other outcomes besides career possibilities might be affected by gender socialized childhood play? These questions prompt us to explore the broader implications of gender role socialization. Dive into the dynamic world of peer influence on gender roles. Explore how children navigate same gender groups and develop distinct subcultures that reinforce gender norms. Witness the subtle yet powerful ways in which peer interactions shape behaviors and perpetuate societal expectations. From playground dynamics to bullying behaviors, peers play a crucial role in socialization process. Let's talk about the realm of academics and uncover the influence of schools on gender roles. Explore how teachers' treatment of boys and girls perpetuates gender stereotypes and biases within the educational system. Witness the subtle yet profound ways in which academic and career counseling perpetuates societal expectations and shapes individuals' perceptions of their capabilities and aspirations. From television programs to commercials, we discover how media representations perpetuate gender stereotypes and shape societal perceptions. We witness these subtle but yet powerful ways in which media messages reinforce traditional gender norms and perpetuate societal expectations. From children's cartoon to primetime television, media plays a critical role in shaping our understanding of gender. A content analysis of commercials airing on Nickelodeon demonstrated that commercials with only boys promoted very different toys than those with only girls. These differences highlights the role of gender role stereotypes in the media, and we can see just how important it is that commercials and media as such have such a very big impact on us in terms of gender. Let's reflect on the profound influence of socialization processes on shaping our perceptions and behaviors. From the familial sphere to the media landscape, each source plays a critical role in perpetuating traditional gender norms and societal expectations. Let us strive towards a more inclusive and equitable future where individuals are free to express themselves authentically, regardless of societal expectations. The similarities between environmental and biological gender differences lie mostly in their mutual influence on shaping individuals' perceptions and behaviors. Both environmental and biological factors contribute to the development of gender roles and stereotypes. Environmental influences such as socialization processes through family, peers, schools, and media play a crucial role in perpetuating societal norms and expectations regarding gender. Similarly, in biological factors such as hormonal influences and brain structure differences also contribute to variations in behavior and cognitive patterns between genders. However, a key difference lies in the origin of these differences. While environmental factors stem from societal norms and cultural expectations, biological differences arise from innate physiological and neurological variations between males and females. Despite their distinct origins, both environmental and biological factors interact dynamically to shape individuals' understanding and expression of gender.
At the core, gender roles are an arbitrary set of qualities society believes each person should embody based on their gender. For example, men forego their emotion in favor of a larger presence, and women are supposed to be subdued and subservient to men in their lives according to Feeling 2023. There are 5 key attributes that contribute to the male role. 1. Achievement. This suggests men prove their masculinity by outperforming other men in the workplace and in sports and attaining status symbols such as a fancy car and high-paying jobs. 2. Aggression. This states that men be physically and emotionally tough to endure hardship, and they should be assertive and protective, as men are expected to be active and defend themselves, their loved ones, and their beliefs. 3. Autonomy. This suggests that men should be independent and self-sufficient, that is, they should be able to depend on no one but themselves. 4. Sexuality. Real men, quote-unquote, are exclusively heteronormative. This suggests that men be highly driven to pursue sexual activity and conquest. And lastly, 5. Stoicism. Men should be unemotional and not express dependence or vulnerability, and should be cool and calm under pressure at all times. There are prevalent issues surrounding male roles. 1. Pressure to succeed. Many men are socialized to be highly competitive and are taught that their masculinity is measured by their paycheck and their job status. This is a particular issue in African American and Hispanic men, as they face more barriers due to discrimination than European American men. This failure affects them as they suffer from shame and low self-esteem. However, overall, there is increased risk for depression and anxiety for all men. 2. The emotional realm. Majority of boys are socialized to believe that showing emotions such as joy, sadness, and love are feminine and weak, and this leads them to suppress all emotion except for outward displays of anger. However, this has negative effects on their physical health. That is, suppressed emotions can contribute to stress-related disorders, but many men are less likely to seek health care for it. This also affects their close relationships, especially with their partners and children. 3. Sexual issues. Traditional gender roles, role socialization gives men a macho sexual image to idolize, and this creates a fear of not achieving an erection, which ironically leads to the very issue men fear due to performance anxiety, which is erectile dysfunction. Furthermore, due to traditional masculinity, men might misinterpret feelings of closeness as sexual desire, which hinders their ability to express non-sexual intimacy with others. This confusion can make men misinterpret friendly gestures such as a brush on the arm, an innocent smile, and eye contact as a sexual invitation, potentially leading to awkward social interactions. Male roles aren't the only ones in inconstancy. The role expectations of American women have undergone dramatic changes, especially in regards to work. Here are 3 expectations of women. 1. The marriage mandate. While remaining single has been a choice growing in popularity for many decades, there is still a stigma attached to singlehood in a society where marriage is the norm. Most women are socialized to feel deficient until they have a partner. 2. The motherhood mandate. The motherhood mandate is that a major aspect of the female role is to have children. This dominant dogma of the modern motherhood mandate is that women should yearn to have children, mothering should be wholly child-centered, and mothers should be self-sacrificing rather than having their own needs, wants, and interests met. And 3. Work outside the home. Majority of today's young women, especially those who hold post-secondary qualifications, hold the expectation of working outside the home and acquiring a wholesome family life. The percentage of women in the labor force has been increasing steadily in the last 3 decades. However, majority of women still shoulder the bulk of household chores. And 3 issues Three issues of women's roles are diminished career aspirations, juggling multiple roles, and an ambivalence about sexuality. Diminished career aspirations. Traditional gender roles can limit a woman's academic interests. Despite efforts to increase women's opportunities for achievements, young women are still likely to underestimate their own ability, unlike men who overestimate theirs. And this belief leads to women limiting their interest in masculine fields such as science and math for fear of being considered unfeminine. This lack of a math background can hinder women's performance and career opportunities in high status and high paying jobs such as in STEM fields. 2. Juggling multiple roles. Another issue with the female role is that societal institutions haven't kept pace with the reality of women's lives, especially for those who chose to become mothers. Despite a high percentage of mothers, a whopping 70%, being employed, workplaces and societal norms haven't adapted. These outdated expectations assume women are still stay-at-home mothers, and they do not factor in the needs of single-parent families. 3. Ambivalence to sexuality. Like men, women may have sexual problems that stem in part from their gender role socialization. Gender roles can negatively impact women's sexual satisfaction, and studies have shown women who adhere to traditional gender roles experience lower sexual satisfaction. Traditional expectations often involve suppressing female sexuality, and girls might be taught to deny their sexual feelings. They might be portrayed as passive participants in sex, and focus might be placed on romance over sexual experiences. I learned that while women may want more help in the household and with child rearing, some who still hold a traditional mindset and have traditional values may experience more distress if their partner were to help out more, as they see as though they are not doing enough within their role. And I find that's very eye-opening, that some women may feel threatened within their role if they get more help. I, for one, will welcome the help, but it's just widening my mind that not all women may share modern feminist views. And another thing that stood out to me in this chapter was that there is evidence to suggest that manhood as opposed to womanhood is more precarious, and that it requires social validation, and traditional masculinity would emphasize displays of physical prowess and aggression. Meanwhile, in today's world, we have men's masculinity being attributed to their economic success and being a good leader and even having control of their emotions, especially anger. And I find that shift from traditional masculinity to modern day masculinity is a healthy approach, but still there is a lot of work to be done, as some boys are still socialized to believe that showing emotion is a sign of weakness and something effeminate. I will read up more on this topic and also educate people where I can't. Hi, my name is Cornelia. My name is Cornelia, and I'm talking about gender roles past, present, and future. Now, what did gender look like before? Typically, women were seen as the caregivers or the homemakers of the household, while the men were known to be the providers and the protectors of the household. While there are many theories about how this came about, one theory suggests that this may have come about due to the natural need for division of roles. This was really in the times when we were hunting for food, gathering food, and such. The men were stronger, so it seemed only logical that they would assume the role as the hunter or the food gatherer, while the woman stayed at home behind, kept watch over the children, kept the house clean, so on and so forth. However, the times are changing. It seems only natural that the gender roles that we assumed many societies ago would no longer fit as we have outgrown them. Something that stood out to me in this chapter, particularly this part, was the origin of the gender roles. As we are currently in an era of fighting against sexism and equality, I don't think anyone ever considered that these were originally created for our safety of our people, and that they might be beneficial back then, even though they aren't particularly beneficial right now. So at times when I feel caged in gender roles and sexism and it's not working in my favor, I would, instead of just lashing out at, I feel like, society, like, why did you do this? I would remember that originally it was created in my favor. And that we now, as a society, are creating newer, better versions of these past gender roles to create a reality that works for us now rather than the one that works for us later. In this part, we are going to talk about androgyny. According to Dunn, androgyny is the coexistence of both masculine and feminine personality traits in an individual. However, androgyny can be either external or internal, or both in some cases. Males with more stereotypical feminine traits and females with more stereotypical male traits are considered cross-gendered, while androgynous individuals score high on both aspects. Women and men that score high in their respective traits were said to be gender-typed, and is known, unsurprisingly, to adjust and fit into the traditional gender roles better. However, they do have trouble deviating from those roles and assuming traits outside those mandated by the previous societal rules. Unlike gender-typed men and women, androgynous individuals have no issue with assuming or mix and matching traits how they see fit and using whatever works in their favor. Something that surprised me was that in a case study, out of 20 masculine traits, only 8 was considered strictly masculine, and on the feminine side, 18 out of 20 was considered strictly feminine. This can potentially conclude that there will be a higher percentage of androgynously viewed men, as there are more traits that men can assume and or stricter labels as to what is considered being a man. Women, however, have it a lot more easier, or shall I say a lot more leg room, to express themselves while still seeming like women, which I'm not sure works in our favor or against it, but I'm certainly sure that it does not work in the favor of men, or more specifically gender-typed men. In this slide, we are going to look at gender role transcendence. Gender role transcendence implies that individuals need to move beyond gender roles as a way of organizing themselves and others to become fully human. This can work by using gender-neutral terms such as instrumental for masculine and expressive for feminine. What I learned from this chapter was something called self-fulfilling prophecy. While I've heard the term several times and have used it in different classes, this was the first time I've seen it used in this way. I've always believed that gender roles were assumed externally, and I never considered that it can be internally. And that using these terms in our daily lives, in our day-to-day language when talking to ourselves or to other people, we somehow reaffirmed it in ourselves and constantly reminded ourselves of these labels that we need to fit ourselves into. This has reminded me that it is not always society is the enemy, and a lot of times it's our own language and our own self-talk that can become our enemy, and that maybe the first step really starts with how we talk to ourselves, and this is the way that we can achieve gender role transcendence. This was my take and understanding of gender roles past, present, and future. Thank you.